Red Sox versus Yankees, Coca-Cola versus Pepsi, Jets versus Sharks. These are some of modern history's greatest rivalries, but all pale in comparison to the great condiment debate, ketchup versus mustard. Is this the most American thing ever? Like, I feel like I need to be wearing an Uncle Sam hat and, like, holding an apple pie. My Crazy Obsession was a short-lived exploitative TV program coasting on the success of another exploitative TV program, My Strange Addiction, which was hosted on the Mount Olympus of exploitative TV programs, TLC. I still can't believe MILF Manor is a real thing and not a 30 Rock bit, but I digress. In this episode of My Crazy Obsession, we meet Barry Levinson, who holds the record for the world's largest mustard collection, and Ralph Finch, who literally loves ketchup to death.
We already knew we were going to be cremated.
Ralph would like to be in a ketchup crock.
But if you want to relish in my content here on YouTube, you should give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. It goes a long way in helping out the channel. I've also started a Discord server, so join that and we can get to know each other a little better. Oh, and let me know your favorite condiments if you have any. I'm partial to honey mustard myself, but barbecue sauce is a close second. We're introduced to Barry with a tale of late-night grocery shopping and divine intervention of sorts.
I went to an all-night grocery. Suddenly, I heard a voice.
Collect us.
You don't argue with voices at 2:30 in the morning.
At the time of this episode airing, Barry has been collecting mustard for 26 years, and he holds the world record for the largest mustard collection. I'd love to see his competition, honestly. Barry has 5,500 samples worth over $125,000 collected from all 50 states of America and 80 other countries. He's so precious about his mustard that he wears little white gloves to handle the old jars. And this is where I really started picturing him as a Kim Possible villain. We then meet Barry's wife. I personally found it hilarious that a man obsessed with one single condiment is married to a woman named Patty. If only Barry's name was Frank. Patty is upfront and honest about how she feels about her husband's obsession.
I think Barry is overly dedicated to mustard. He's totally crazy. There's times that I think it's a little bit too much.
Pretty bold of her to claim Barry's overly dedicated to mustard while she's wearing that yellow sweater. Unrelated, but I wonder if there's good money in mustard collecting. Barry's obsession with mustard goes pretty deep though. At least, the show presents it that way. I'm feeling more and more cynical by the week with this channel. Barry dresses only in mustard-colored clothing. He eats mustard on everything. He even brushes his teeth and shaves his face with it. I actually refuse to believe those last two things, but let's move on. Barry is even able to identify different mustards by taste alone.
This tastes like the cow got into an onion patch.
It's probably the only thing I find impressive in this segment, to be honest with you. And then Barry tells us the exact moment where he decided that mustard was his calling. A year after his all-night grocery store moment, he was trying a case before the U.S. Supreme Court with a small jar of mustard in his pocket.
Argued the case, Griffin versus Wisconsin. I won the case. Very difficult decision. I'm sure it was the mustard that made the difference.
And swiftly left his law career for the greener fields of mustard collecting. I gotta say, I'd love to be a fly on the wall when Barry came home to Patty and told her about his plan. Barry's love of mustard is such that he has developed something of a distaste for ketchup.
Like, okay, it's just ketchup. There's nothing, it's like, whoa.
And this leads to one of the most ridiculous setups I think I've ever seen in a reality TV program, and that is saying something. See, Patty tells us that she's suggested Barry see a therapist for his obsession with mustard. If this can be believed, it seems like Patty's concern is more about the obsession in general, but for some reason this counselor that Barry is allegedly seeing, whom I have half a mind to think is actually Barry's brother in a suit, decides to focus on his aversion to ketchup. It's so dumb, this scene. A waitress, who seems like she regrets agreeing to be on camera more with every frame, brings them their hot dogs and, you guessed it, a bottle of ketchup. Barry puts it on his hot dog and then...
He was very intimidated by the ketchup, which was really odd. It's like America's favorite condiment. The next thing I know, he ran out of here.
Like, it's just dumb. I have no other words for it. Next, we're introduced to Ralph Finch, and the show does this weird thing where they have a totally real and not staged open mic night where he tells really bad condiment-based jokes.
Knock, knock, who's there? Ketchup. Ketchup who? Catch up with me and I'll tell you.
I mean, the show does claim that he's an aspiring comedian, but I really don't know if I believe that. Now, Ralph, to me anyway, was much more charming than Barry, and I think a huge part of that involves him having a vastly more believable backstory. I also just adore old men when they're not being problematic, of course. But anyway, where Barry claims mystical forces got him into collecting mustard, Ralph says that the ketchup was a vital ingredient throughout his whole life.
Ketchup was important when I was growing up because my mother was a bad cook.
But at what point does using ketchup as a lifeline turn into collecting old bottles and wearing ketchup socks and, well, you'll see. Much like Barry, Ralph puts his condiment of choice on everything he eats. They even show him giving it to his cat.
If you ever want to eat again, you better eat your ketchup.
I refuse to believe any part of that is true. They conveniently show the cat eating at an angle where you can't see if there's really ketchup on its plate or not. I also refuse to believe Ralph really ate a chocolate chip cookie with ketchup on it. See how he takes the most half-hearted bite of cookie and cookie only? These shows are gonna do me in, I swear. After suffering from a minor stroke before filming this show, Ralph decided to start making plans for his day with death, and what does he want done with his ashes, you ask? He wants them put in a ketchup crock. I have absolutely no problem with that. I actually think it's kind of cool and fitting for him. It's just the way the show handles it that makes me shake my head a little, or a lot. Ralph and his wife Janet visit their local funeral home, and the director they speak with looks utterly shell-shocked the whole time. Like, is it just me, or do you have to do a lot to freak out a funeral director? After Ralph learns that, yes, one of his ketchup crocks is going to be big enough to carry his ashes someday, he asks the funeral director a simple question.
Do you like ketchup?
The director answers with all the energy of a man who's got a weapon pointed at him.
I actually love ketchup.
Right.
Just say that you like ketchup and they'll leave. Okay, remember with the last guy when I was like, this is one of the most ridiculous setups I've ever seen? I've changed my mind. This is one of the most ridiculous setups I've ever seen. Ralph and Janet go to a restaurant and immediately start grousing at the poor waiter.
Why do you serve 2 mustards?
That's just how much we had. We got ketchup, it's in the bag.
How come you didn't put it on the table?
Then, Ralph starts going around table to table, trying to convert his fellow diners to eat ketchup, with less zeal than that of an average door-to-door Jehovah's Witness.
Excuse me, hi. I noticed you have mustard. Have you ever thought about ketchup? Just one. Actually, try several.
Put this in your glove compartment.
I'm so glad this episode is over. Holy shit. I mean, I can't say I'm not disappointed that the episode didn't end with a confrontation between Ralph and Barry like I thought it would, but I guess that's what my dreams are for, right? So anyway, that was my crazy obsession, and the important thing is that we all got through it. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. There's also that bell you can ring so you'll be notified when my next video comes out. If you liked this video, you might also like my Super Nanny video. And if you can even watch it, you might like my Kitchen Nightmares video. But That got blocked in America, so good luck. Thanks, Gordon Ramsay. And be sure to join me next time when I watch something else.